Hello YouTube, this is the Bucket coming at you today with two classic 22 semi-automatic pistols. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this new one that I picked up. This is the High Standard Sport King. I want to talk to you a little bit about how I ended up on this pistol. Let's talk about field stripping it. We'll go over the specs and see how she performed at the range today. So I ended up picking up a Colt Huntsman a while back and it kind of fell in love with it. And now, all to be honest with you guys, I am kind of a Colt fanboy. And when I saw this Colt Woodsman first generation come up, I had to have it. And when I took some pictures and put it on the Colt forum, a lot of the guys really talked glowingly about high standard pistols, and I really didn't know a lot about high standard pistols, so I decided let's bring one to the channel. And I landed on this early first variant of the Sport King pistol. And let's go ahead and let's talk about the specs of this particular pistol, and then I'll talk a little bit about the history of it, what to look for if you're thinking about picking up a Sport King, and how she performed at the range. So the overall specs of this pistol, they are a 10-round magazine, 10+1. The overall length is 8.5 inches. The barrel length is 4.5 inches. The overall width is 1.51 inches. And the overall height is 5 inches. It weighs in at 40 ounces with the magazine in it. So High Standard has been around since 1926. They were originally called the Hartford Arms and Equipment Company, and they were making 22 semi-automatic pistols all the way up till 1984, when they finally declared bankruptcy, and kind of High Standard as we think of them ended up going out of business. Their original pistols were the Model Bs. They had also the Model Hs. They had the militaries. Those are probably the ones that more align with this first generation of Colt Woodsman. But I ended up picking up the Sport King for a couple of reasons. Mine has a last round hold open, and I really thought that that was nice. My first gen Colt does not, and I like the idea of having a last round hold open. Now, if you're wanting a last round hold open for your Sport King, make sure that this lever is on the right hand side, because not all the Sport Kings have them. The other thing that I liked about this, the early first variant or the lever design, I like it, and I'll show you why. So when you want to disassemble this pistol, you lock the slide back and then you just lift up this lever and the barrel will come right off the front. I like the fact that they're dovetailed into the frame, and I think the lever design is a better design as far as the longevity of the pistol. I think it's going to hold up a little bit longer. Now, they did make these in the 4.5-inch barrel, but they also made them in a 6 or 6 3/4. And so you can actually find barrels on the used market, and you can have some more, you can kind of convert it the way that you want to. Some people even have them sent off to have them turned down to end up being able to have a suppressor for that. So that's something that you can consider. The other thing I really like about these is the disassembly. This gun is now disassembled, and it was super easy to do, and I really like that, where the Colt design that was made by John Moses Browning, his is very labor intensive to disassemble the pistol, and for people that don't have some of the tools or maybe aren't that handy in that type of thing, might not be a great idea to pick up a Colt Woodsman for maintenance purposes. Now, to reassemble the pistol, it's really pretty easy. I like to go ahead and get the slide started, and then I just put the mag back in because I have one that has a last round hold open. It makes it a little bit easier. Then you just start the threading on your barrel. You get it in there, you just lift up the lever, pull it all the way back, and now you have a reassembled pistol. So I really like that about this particular design. Now, this is what I would consider the second generation of high standard pistols. A lot of them are going to have this plastic thumb grip. I do like the quality that they put. This is very common. My gun was shipped out November 27th, 1963, and I have to give a shout out to John Stimson on the Rimfire forum. He gave me a ton of good information. When you see the pictures of the manual and whatnot, he actually scanned that for me and sent it to him, so he's a really great guy. Check out the Rimfire forum, and he may end up, if you have some questions, he might be a guy that ends up giving you some of the answers. The other thing I like about the second generations, and on all of them, on the OEM mags, they actually marked them high standard, and that makes you know that you have an OEM magazine, because just because you have an OEM magazine doesn't necessarily mean that's the OEM for your model. And High Standard made a lot of pistols in a lot of different models. So you want to be careful about the magazines, because these are hard to come by. And from what I've heard from everybody is the aftermarket ones just are not reliable. So you just want to keep an eye on that when you purchase it. One of the other things that makes this gun so great is the price point. So these were always a budget option, but when I picked this one up, I did a little bit of research and I took my time with it, but take home, I spent $379 on this. I got a really good deal on this first gen Colt Woodsman at $600, and if you wanted to buy one online, you're probably going to pay a couple $100 more than that. So the price point is another thing that's really, really good about this particular gun. The other thing that I enjoyed was the accuracy that it came. So these are 5 shots from 10 yards, and that's a lot of accuracy. Now, these guns do have a drift adjustable rear sight for windage, but dealing with elevation is going to be you're just going to have to adjust your aim. And you can see that a little bit in my target here. It was shooting a little bit high, but that's all the kind of accuracy that you're going to need. And I really had a great time with it. As far as reliability goes, it was not 100% reliable. I shot about 150 rounds through this and ended up only having 2 failures to extract. And those were really, really easy to resolve. All I had to do was run the slide, and it just ended up clearing the malfunction. As far as failures to feed or anything, none of that problems whatsoever. One of the other things that you do want to think about it is you're going to want to run standard velocity ammo through this. These guns were designed for standard velocity ammo, so I wouldn't recommend firing high velocity ammo. And I fired CCI through it, and I really enjoyed it. So if you're wanting to get into a pistol, you want something a little bit different, I think keeping an eye on a high standard is a really, really great option. And I had a great bit of luck with my Sport King. Now, things to look for, again, like I said before, if you want one with a last round hold open, check this lever on the other side. Also, later models didn't have this lever. They had a push button, and they won't be dovetailed into the frame. So if you don't mind the post system that they used, and actually those barrels are probably easier to find replacement for ones opposed to the one like mine, those are just things to keep an eye out for. Again, check your magazine, make sure it's an original part magazine, because that's going to increase your likelihood that it's going to run reliably. Like I said, I really enjoyed this gun. I have 4 beautiful daughters, so me having 2 really cool vintage 22 pistols is probably going to be what's happening in my life. I thought this had all the accuracy I wanted and was just a blast to shoot today at the range. So I do want to thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. All the likes, the comments, the shares, they're really appreciated. And as always, you stay classy, YouTube. Little middle baby bucket. Do you want to live in California?
No!
Why?
Because I'm not a communist.